Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I'm joined by the amazing and the beautiful Reze-Tiana Wessels, which I knew how to pronounce before we started this interview. Reze, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Absolutely great.
I lied, guys. I totally butchered pronouncing her name, and I'm so sorry that I did that, but I got it right this time. So I'm so excited for this. Before we get into some of the reasons why we're here, I want to give a little bit of background about who you are, Reze. 24-year-old South African actress and dancer, which you can see some of on YouTube, which is fucking phenomenal. I have some of those videos down here in the description. Her Mediterranean appearance gives away her Italian and Irish ancestry. Finished high school in 2015, after which you completed a 3-year drama course at the Performing Arts Lifestyle Institute in Pretoria, South Africa. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
Also well-trained, accomplished ballet, Irish, modern, contemporary, jazz, ballroom, and Latin dancer. But also when we're talking about all the dancing and stuff that you do, which I said is phenomenal. I've got some of those links in the description, guys. So make sure you're checking that out. A lot of the hard work she does. But as an actress, you've had supporting roles in 4 Afrikaans short films and reoccurring roles in a South African TV soap, which is super rad. I'm so proud of you. But the thing I really want to dive into here, you made your international debut here across the pond, starring as Ashley in the remake of Slumber Party Massacre. We talked about this a little beforehand. I'm a big fan of the Slumber Party Massacre remake, and anybody that knows me knows this. So being able to have you on here, when I reached out to you and you agreed, it was euphoric for me. I was super stoked about it. So what was it like for you filming Slumber Party Massacre?
Oh, wow. I was quite speechless when when my agent phoned and they were like, listen, you got the job. And I kind of didn't want to believe him. I was like, no, but this can't be true. Because I was like, wow, this is an American movie. It's an international movie. So it was absolutely amazing. I mean, when I got onto set, everyone was divine. They were so amazing, so kind. They treated us so well. Every person, all the crew members, I absolutely adored. So it was just, it was a fun set. It was an absolutely fun, lovable set.
And I think that really comes off when you watch the film. Something I've talked about, when you put horror and comedy together, a lot of times it's very hard to land that. But what you girls were able to do in this film, like I said, a couple lines like, when she tries to flash the guy for the car and he's like, I don't see how that's going to get your part here. Or the shark bit, it's real genuine laughs that you get from this movie on top of some genuine scares and gory. I love a lot of the gore throughout this movie. So did you have a good connection with a lot of your co-stars out there?
Oh, we did. What was actually great, the one actress, Frances, she played, who did she play now in the movie? Oh gosh, forgetting all the names. But Frances played the friend that. Hold on, let me think about the name. It was me, Ashley, Breenie. I don't remember the names because I know them so personally so well that you kind of forget the character names. I do apologize. But Frances, I remember she just created this WhatsApp group, and she was like, "Hey girls, I'm Frances. Playing alongside you all, why don't we meet up for coffee and get to know each other, before we start shooting?" And I was like, wow, that's actually amazing. We can actually connect before we start shooting, because it is a bit nerve-wracking when you get onto sets and you don't know anyone at all. And it's, trying to create a connection or a chemistry with a person can be struggling and it can be hard. So when she contacted us, I was like, yeah, I want to go for that coffee. And we just all clicked immediately. And then when we got into set, it was like we were best friends, like from the beginning of ages. And it was amazing. So it was lovely.
Well, and the reason I asked that is because you feel that genuine friendship between you guys when you guys are doing your dancing and you guys are out doing your thing. But there's a major plot point that I'm trying not to spoil now. But yes, you guys are college girls, but the intelligence of what you're really trying to do really rings through. And the more, like, you get to the end and you have a couple lines of dialogue that really nail home God, this acting was very hard, so it's really intelligent the way that you guys were written into your characters. You're not, again, guys, I'm not stuttering around my words right now. I'm just trying to be very careful so I don't spoil for people that haven't seen it. You're not just airhead college girls that are going out to get drunk and find boys. You know, there's a real reason behind what you guys are doing. And I think it's extremely intelligent. I love the reasoning behind what you guys are doing. No matter what signs are trying to tell you to stop and turn around, you guys are going to keep going and you're going to finish your mission no matter what comes your way. So if you guys haven't seen this film yet, I can't recommend it enough. You guys know that I'm not anti-remake, and I think that this one does pay homage to the original while making its own story with having jokes that land and lovable characters. So make sure you're checking this out. And before Reza, we get into the reason that you're here, I do want to remind everybody, I do not only have those YouTube links in the description, but I have all of Reese's social media links in the description as well. So make sure you're giving her a follow so you can keep up to date on what she's doing. Now, I know that with a lot of NDAs and things that come along with that, it's kind of hard to talk about what you're doing in the future, but is there anything you have coming up that you can talk to us about?
No, not currently.
Okay.
With COVID and everything, things were a little bit slow, especially in South Africa, unfortunately. But there's a lot of auditions happening at the moment, so holding thumbs. I am currently on TV at the moment, which is a Afrikaans soap called Seven de Laan. So that's running at the moment, but that's about it for now.
Hey, it's not just that that's it. You're living the dream, Breeze, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you're doing this, and I can't wait to see you're such a young lady. So to be able to see your star get brighter and brighter, I'm so excited to watch you grow. And you guys can follow her growth as well at her social media links down here in the description. So you don't have to wait for me to give updates. I always do my social media and do my YouTube. I always give updates about my guests because I'm so proud of you guys and the work that you do. So you don't have to wait for me to do it though. And get it right from the horse's mouth. Now, Slumber Party Massacre is a very fun horror movie, but horror is not always fun. Now, your first horror movie, however, is not as lighthearted as Slumber Party Massacre. So let's go back to the past here for a minute, Reese, and talk about your first horror movie. And your first horror movie was?
The Conjuring.
Yes. Again,
Probably the worst one to choose. Not
as lighthearted as Slumber Party Massacre. There's not as much dancing in underwear in this one, but we can still talk about it anyway. Do you remember how old you were the first time you had seen it, Reese?
Oh my goodness. I was about 14.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch horror movies at the time. So, you know, raised in quite a Christian home and everything, but it was always something like, you know, I kind of want to watch a horror movie, you know, and I'm 14 and, you know, I went out with my best guy friend and we were like, let's go watch The Conjuring. And my feet were not touching the ground. We were at the cinema. It was on the seat the whole time. I was like, what if there's something underneath?
Well, and another thing that I don't think it's talked about enough, but you grow up in a non-horror home, in a very Christian raised home. And then the first movie you go see, it has so many anti-Christian sentiments to it. That's so funny to me. Like, and again, I grew up in a very Christian home. I don't talk about it here because I don't feel like this is the time or the place. I don't follow any organized religion, but I still believe Jesus Christ is Lord, and that's something I'll stick with my whole life. But to watch movies like this, I think when we grow up as people that believe in Jesus Christ or any type of religion, if you have your strongest beliefs and you believe in what you believe, and you see movies like this that are really challenging those beliefs that we've grown up with, I think that can be just as effective as anything else in the movie.
In actual fact, it kind of brought me closer to God. I was like, I need to pray more often because I mean, there's some scary things out there. That's what I was actually thinking. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Right. And you get the whole based on a true story, inspired by true events. And you're like, huh.
I think that's what's so frightening is the fact that it was based on true stories and it has that spiritual context to it. It's not like a movie where it's, you know, a creepy guy or just a creepy doll or whatever. It's more based on the spiritual idea. And it feels so real. Feels real, where like Slumber Party Massacre is not really like, I feel like I can watch it. I can watch a slasher movie and I can deal with it. But when it comes to like the horror side where it's spiritual and, you know, stuff like that, I get freaked out completely. Just my heart.
I'm with you. Supernatural horror is probably the scariest genre, where slashers is probably my favorite. And I meant to mention this earlier about Slumber Party Massacre, but I can't tell you how many times since I've watched that movie, I've walked into a room and gone, I love you.
Rob is amazing. He nailed that character.
Oh, I've done that so many, whether it's at work, it's at home. My wife is so tired of me. She'll be in the shower and I'll just slowly pull the curtain back and be like, I love you.
It's creepy.
And another thing I did want to bring up while we're talking about the religious aspects of The Conjuring, the scene where they're in the basement and the witch is Belzeba is really taking over. And they put the sheet over her when she's on the chair, and that chair starts floating, and then it turns upside down and lands up on the ceiling. That's a scene to me that, obviously, the rising of Jesus Christ, and they have the three knocks in this movie. And that's such like a great metaphor to me of Bathsheba, this witch, is rising, just much like Jesus Christ rose. And when we watch that movie in cinema, that's one of those scenes. It looks so good.
I mean, even for its time, when they shot the movie, I mean, I haven't seen it obviously in 10 years. It's been ages. But the quality was so good that I completely freaked out. And I'm not someone who just, gets scared from scary movies or whatever when I watch them now. But obviously not that being my first one and being only at the age of 14. Yeah, no, it's a little bit scary.
Well, absolutely. And this is a movie that often gets called one of the scariest movies of all time. I've heard that by more than one person. So for you to dive headfirst with this one, kudos. Good on you. There's a lot of very affected scenes in the original Conjuring. And do you remember which scene it was that really affected you the most?
The hand clap. When that hand came out and just, gave that clap, I was like, done.
Hey, wanna play hide and clap?
I'm done.
Well, the way that the scene is built up, she's walking down the stairs and she's got the light, and then you want to play hide and clap.
But it's that single light that freaks me out because there's no other lights. And when that light blows out and that hand comes out, I'm like, I can't, I'm done. It completely freaked me out. I think that was the one scene that I'll never ever forget. That one, and the one where the witch was on the cupboard and she's like, jumping. I'm like, oh, can't. But I just remember seeing that face and struggling to sleep for like a week afterwards because every time I close my eyes, I just see this face and I'm like, I'm done.
What I love about that scene is you think it's done. They look in the wardrobe and there's nothing in there. And, you got the flat shot and then you have that slow pan up to the top right before you get that jump. Yeah. And it's just, oh my gosh, it's so scary.
No, but it's done brilliantly. I know some people that don't like the movie, but I kind of love it because it frightened me so much, and I can easily talk about it, which is great.
Well, I mean, if you know anybody that doesn't like the movie, give me their address. I just want to talk to them. That's it. I just want to talk to them. Well, another thing about this movie, and I had on the channel my top 10 favorite jump scares of all time, and I was watching this movie, and I think the jump scare that got me the most is when the guy sees the woman walking outside, and he walks in the other room and he's looking for her and he can't find her. And then he starts walking towards the camera and she comes out of nowhere with her wrist cut. And she's like, look what you made me do! Like, I was in my living room with my PlayStation remote and I literally threw my remote like, ah! Like, that scene really got me because, the score is perfect there because they completely dropped the score. And then you get that the score comes in and she's jumping out of nowhere. Like, that's one that got me like really bad. So this is a movie that I could watch 50 times and I'll still find a different appreciation for it every time I watch it with different scenes.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And that's a good movie, in my opinion. That's a good movie when you can watch it again and see different things.
See, and I love The Conjuring. I think there's a lot of the movies in the Conjuring universe that I'm not such a big fan of. But I will say, like, the first two Conjurings, I would put up there with some of the best supernatural horror movies of all time. The acting, and then part two, when they go across the pond and they're over there, and there's just so much brilliance that comes along with these movies. And Reze, we know which scene it was that affected you the most, but what would you say is the scene that is your favorite scene from The Conjuring?
Oh, gosh. That's a good one.
I know it's got to be hard because it's been a minute since you've watched it.
it's been a minute. Probably the scene where they're doing the exorcism.
Mhm.
Because I don't know, it's just so frightening seeing someone's body, being so distorted and breaking, and she's dying every time they try and pull her out of the house. She's dying,
Yeah.
and that whole exorcism scene like completely freaked me out as well, because it's not something you see every day. Trying to get this demon or witch, out of your body. I mean, it's with all the Latin words, and that's kind of scary as well. With the whole Catholic idea of it. And I'm like, this could happen to anyone. And I think that's a scene that was done quite well as
Mhm.
well. My English is so bad. I'm so sorry. As you can see, I'm Afrikaans. English is not my first language.
It's funny. It's not your first
But
language, and you're still speaking it better than me.
Thank you. When I'm like overthinking stuff, I'm like, what is the word? But it was just shot so well, and the angles of everything, and how she like kind of raised up, like you said, like, and then she's been thrown around, and her face that literally changed with that exorcism. It was mind blowing, but especially with
That
being in
point.
all white, because if I remember correctly, she was like wearing white. And it's almost like white being a color of purity,
Mhm.
yet she's this evil character that's
I love
dark.
that juxtaposition of
Yeah.
the purity of white, but the evil of Bathsheba. And I love that scene you just talked about, when you actually see her change face to the witch when he's
Yes.
calling out to her, and he's trying to banish her out of the body, and it physically changes into Bathsheba, the witch. And that's such a powerful scene when you watch it happen. I'm so glad you brought that scene up, because I love that scene.
No, that was a very powerful scene. And it's also something that I won't just forget. Because there's like certain moments. Obviously, I didn't really watch it that well. It was like this most of the time, and like peeking through my little fingertips, telling my friends like what's happening. Spilled half of my popcorn on the floor. But I remember that was a scene that I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen. It was like I had to watch the scene from the beginning up until the end, because it's like you're sitting on the edge of your seat, like what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Is she gonna die? Is this witch gonna take over? You don't know.
Right.
Just don't know.
Oh, perfect. That's perfectly worded. So, Reeds, we talked about your first horror movie being The Conjuring and how much that movie means to you. But now I want to go scream on you here for a second. My little buddy Ghostface has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Rings.
Really?
Yeah. I remember being a little girl. I haven't seen scary movies. And my cousin, I don't know, for some reason, she's seen this movie. And she would throw her hair in front of her face, and then she'd like be all creepy, and I'd completely freak out. And I remember seeing pictures, and when I got older, I'm like, wait, no, memory lane. I need to watch this movie. And that's like creepy. Someone being like body movements coming out of a TV. That's kind of like not okay for me. It's like, what if I'm watching something and something's gonna come out of the screen? That's one of my favorite movies. I haven't seen all of them. I've only seen the first one. So I can't really speak about the second and the third. I think there are 3 movies.
Just leave it with the first one.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Okay, we'll just leave it there. But also, but there's also the Sinister. Oh, that one.
My all-time favorite jump scare is from Sinister, with the lawnmower part. That we were in cinema, and when the lawnmower hit the lady, I audibly screamed, "Oh my God!" Like, that got me good. And what I love about this is, like, we're talking about The Ring. Like, I think The Ring is a very scary movie. It's only PG-13. That's not even got an R rating. Like, yeah, and that shows that you don't have to be bloody and gory with nudity to be scary. If you can cause genuine fear and genuine horror in people, you've done your job. And The Ring absolutely did its job when it comes to being a horror movie.
And I think that's why that scares me, because that's with a slasher, yeah, and I've been in a slasher movie now. Blood kind of just freaks me out. So I don't necessarily want to watch a movie and I know it's going to be a slasher and there's going to be blood, a hand's going to come off, a face going to come off. I want to puke. I'm like, oh, gross. No, it's not okay.
I do know that if you and I ever do get the chance to hang out, that we're not going to be making any muffins and we're not going to be eating any cookies. So I know if you go to make muffins, I know that it's time for me to run. I got to get out of here. I got to go.
It's okay. I can't bake or cook. I'm really bad at that.
So, I've had such an amazing time with you, and I'm so glad that you took the time out of your weekend to come and hang out with me for a little bit. But I do have one last question for you. We're going to go back to The Conjuring. And what we're going to do now, Reese, is we're going to rank this on a skull count. Now, what we're doing is we're not ranking it being critics. We're not judging it on acting, score, production, nothing like that. What we're doing now is strictly judging this movie on how much it affected you the first time you watched it. So 0 skulls being the worst, not effective. 5 being the best, very effective. What would your ranking of The Conjuring be?
4.5.
Gotta be.
It really affected me. I mean, I couldn't sleep for a week and a half. I was scared. I was frightened for my own life. The fact that my feet were on the chair, literally couldn't put my feet down because it's dark in the cinema. You can't see what's happening underneath. No. I know that 4.5 out of 5, 100%.
And not just that, but look at what this movie started with Annabelle. The first time you watch this movie and you see that fucking doll moving its head over, it's about to go down with that doll.
Yeah. Yeah, and the scary thing is I haven't even seen Annabelle because I'm just too scared to see Annabelle because the doll just completely freaked me out in The Conjuring. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not watching Annabelle. So
I mean, I would strongly recommend watching the rest of The Conjuring and the rest of the Annabelles. I think that they're all fantastic movies. But there's other movies in The Conjuring that really, I thought The Nun was going to be a phenomenal movie, and I was really let down. The Curse of La Llorona is another one that I was really excited for that didn't live up to the hype for me. But I am a big fan of the Conjuring universe, and a scene that we didn't really talk about that I love in the original Conjuring is when Lorraine sees the witch hanging behind Ed, and nobody else can see it, but she's looking up at it, and she's got that fear, and all you see are the feet hanging by Ed, and he's like, "What do you see?" Like, that's another one to me that is just, goosebumps for sure. I love that scene. And I do, before I let you go, I do want to remind everybody one last time. I do have all of her social media links down here in the description. So make sure that you guys are following her on social media so you can stay up to date about everything that's going on with her and her life. Don't go anywhere, Reese. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. As always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.